Hey guys, check it out. I got a pair of Magnepan MMGs now in my living room permanently. Friend of mine, Alan, up in Cave Creek, Arizona there, he's selling off a lot of his vintage and not so vintage gear. I'm going to post a link to the ad that I helped him put together. And so I found these in the closet in one of his rooms, and they were just laying up against the wall. I says, Alan, what are you doing with these? He says, you want to try them? You know, take them home and see if you like them, right? And then we'll work something out. I said, okay, cool. So I brought them home Saturday night, fired them up, did the usual 3 feet from the back wall, about 2 feet from the side walls, give or take. And wow, Phantom Center sound stages, just, you know, exactly. I mean, I've heard Maggie 3.7s, I've heard Maggie 1.7s, you know, I've heard the LRS pluses at the shows. But I'd never had a pair of Maggies in my living room before, right? Well, I fired these things and wow, okay, great. But then I put on one of my go-to test tracks for many, many, many years is Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush's Don't Give Up. And I made the mistake of buying it on vinyl and returning it very quickly because it just sounds like shit. So don't buy the Peter Gabriel reissue LPs. They all sound like crap. Find the SACDs if you can, or stream it, or if you can find the original CDs, just as good. Don't buy the vinyl. All right, so I put on Don't Give Up and Tony Levin's bass. When Gabriel's vocals come in, and then when Kate Bush's vocals come in, vocal sibilances are a little toned down. They're not where I like them. I mean, not ear-shattering, you know, sibilances, but I like vocal sibilances, male or female, doesn't matter. All right, so I did some Googling. Some guys are saying, you know what, bypass that fuse. Shouldn't have audio going through a fuse in the first place. Okay. So I did that, and it seemed to help a little bit. And then they've got that tweeter attenuator bar, and mine I checked as a dead short, which means it's full tilt. Full tilt boogie going to the tweeters via the fuse. All right, so Sunday morning, I said, you know what, let me see what else is involved here. Then I saw a guy who'd bypassed the fuse wires altogether, and I said, okay, let me go in the back of mine. I did exactly that. I literally tore the fuse holder out of the case there. So I bypassed the fuse holder altogether. That helped, not so much as the night before when I just bypassed the fuse, but the sibilances were still not where I like them. Then I took my little X-Acto knife, peeled the onion back a little bit, and then I found a 12 microfarad air C capacitor, polypropylene cap. They're pretty cheap even back in the day. So I said, okay, well, if I reduce the capacitance, that should, in theory, bring the treble up. And if I do it right, it shouldn't screw up the mid-range or the upper bass transitioning to the bass panel here. I went in my junk bin of parts, and I found a 2.5 microfarad and a 7 microfarad Solon metallized polycaps. Perfect. Okay, so I paralleled them up to give me 9.5 microfarads. Boom. Played Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush's Don't Give Up once again. Played some other test tracks. One test track that's my go-to for Phantom Center is Cream's Strange Brew. The vocals should be coming straight out of what appears to be my center channel speaker, even though it's turned off, right? And it did, you know, so I know I got that Phantom Center locked. And then that's something I had a really hard time with the Klipsch Cornwall Force, getting that Phantom Center dialed right in. You know, what I didn't try with these was my Macintosh MC50s. I mean, you're going from a 500 watt at 4 ohm Class D GaN-fed amp to quote unquote 70 watts peak, 50-year-old, you know, transistorized amp. And everybody says you shouldn't put low power amplifiers on Maggies because you could possibly damage the panels. I've been strictly running them with the GaN-fed amps, and it's been great. Believe it or not, all weekend I ran these things 50 hertz in the room with no issues. So there is bass. People that tell me Maggies don't have any bass are full of fucking shit. In my room, with all the room treatment, all the DIY room treatment, all that stuff, I got bass, right? In fact, all weekend I listened to these without the subs on. I just turned the subs on this morning, and holy shit, you know, I did the minimum crossover for these SVS subs is 50 hertz, and I haven't really had to change anything on there, not even the levels. I didn't have to dial them up, dial them down. They just, you know, again, my subs are tuned for the room, more for the room and less so for whatever speakers I put in here. The stands that I built. My wife was doing some home renovations there a while back, and we had a bunch of scrap wood in the backyard, so I found some really straight plywood. I went to Home Depot with 14 bucks worth of hardware, L brackets, some nuts and bolts, lined everything up, and then what I used for a little bit of stabilization, I got my hockey pucks that I use on the little tiptoe stands. So I repurposed the hockey pucks under here, and now I don't have any floor bounce issues because the Maggies aren't totally touching the floor now. Why I never went with Maggies or Martin Logans when I bought the Cornwalls 3 years ago, I heard the horror stories about delamination, about the planar, the ribbons on the ribbon versions of these obviously aren't, these are planar magnetic. The ribbons can get damaged, the panels can get damaged, you know, due to overuse or underuse, whatever. Martin Logans, they're famous for arcing. So I didn't want to have any of these issues, especially if I was going to look in the used market, right? Because I couldn't afford these speakers brand new. I mean, if I wanted to get the 1.7s or the 3.7s, which would basically, you know, it'd be too big for this room, and if I have any of these problems, I'm fucked. Which is why the final audio speakers should be here next month. I talked to Ravi Valnati over at Final Audio, the distributor here in Phoenix. So they should be arriving here next month. I went with Final because they don't have those problems, right? If I ever had a problem with the panel, those speakers are modular in that everything comes apart. So if something goes wrong, you don't have to ship the entire speaker back to the Netherlands, right? You take off the part that's defective. Ravi gets the parts delivered to him in Phoenix from the Netherlands, and you're done. And you don't have to live in Phoenix for that. You can live anywhere in the States for that. You can live anywhere in Canada for that, right? So yeah, I love these little things. You know, I'm glad that they were in pretty much mint condition the way Alan gave them to me. And again, I will post a link to Alan's stuff that he's selling in the comments section. Thanks again, guys, for watching. Happy 2025. Bye for now. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing, testing.